Yo!
What up, though?
I got to talk. I gotta tell what I feel. I gotta talk about my life as I see it.
All right then. It's time for you to bring it to the table.
Turn up your radio wherever you at. We about to bring it.
Street Beat.
Yeah.
With Tony B.
For the next hour, Tony B will give you a chance to tackle local, national, and international issues that affect your community.
Street Beat. Street Beat. Tony.
What's up, and welcome to this day's edition of Street Beat. It's me, Tony B, and very, very special guest joining me. Keyon Harrold will be here right here on Street Beat. There we go. Got a few things I want to tell you about that are going on before Keyon is joining us, and we've got some programming coming up at 1 o'clock. We have our special broadcast of Rainier Radio. And on that particular show, which is broadcast in Tacoma, they got a special guest, Lady E. Liz, who will be joining them from Philadelphia. 2:30, we've got Real Estate and Money with Tina Lombard and Violetta Strass. It's just what it says. Learn about real estate and money. 3 p.m., we've got WIA Primetime, which is hosted by our very own Juan Cotto and the executive director of the Washington Interscholastic Activities Association, Mick Hoffman. Tonight at 6 o'clock, Jazz from the Cabinets, hosted by Big Poppy. This week's playlist includes Chip Wickham, Bill Frisell, Christian McBride, Brandy Younger, Dorothy Ashby, and more. And then at 7 o'clock, we've got tribute to the 50th anniversary of Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd. Then at 9:30, What's Cooking in Columbia City, hosted by Brenda Charles and John Yasataki, highlighting local Creole food truck Po' Boys and Tings, featuring the owner and operator, Sean Sylvie. So a lot of great programming for you today. Later on, don't forget, on Thursday, we've got the broadcast of Wise Action, which is hosted by Johnny Buck and Nicolette Worrell. This is a brand new show. We welcome indigenous programming to Rainier Avenue Radio. You know how we do. We do everything. That's how we get down. We represent our community, and I'm so happy to welcome right now to Street Beat, Mr. Keyon Harrold. Keyon, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Fantastic.
Amazing.
We've been having some incredible weather here in Seattle, where I think you know it probably rains a lot, but not for the last couple weeks.
Oh, that's a beautiful thing. I think you traded with Los Angeles.
I think so. Well, man, so many things to talk to you about. Again, first of all, how you doing? How you feeling? How are you today? Is it abundant today? What's going on?
Oh man, it's a spectacular day. Got up, did my workout, did a few calls, and everything is going well. I'm looking forward to heading to that beautiful weather that you guys have it. Hopefully it's the same when I get there.
You will be here May 30th and May 31st at Demetrius Jazz Alley, a venue that we're really proud of here in Seattle. Had the opportunity to have a lot of phenomenal musicians. So what do you think about Jazz Alley? What are your thoughts about Jazz Alley?
Oh, I love Jazz Alley. I played there once before, and it was a beautiful time. Obviously, it's a beautiful venue. The food is good. Great drinks, and the sound is amazing, and it's just a good time. The audience was fantastic when I was there last time. I'm looking forward to coming back, bringing my band and playing some new music and really having a great time.
Well, the buzz is already out there, and I know that this isn't going to do anything but help grow that buzz. Keyon will be in town at Jazz Alley May 30th and May 31st. You'll have an opportunity to see him in person. But first, let's find about a little information about you. Has jazz always been your heart for music? And I say that, and some folks may not know all of the different artists that you have played with before. So I want to start with that. What is jazz? It has always been your central focus for music, and how did that happen?
Absolutely. Jazz has always been, a seminal home for me. All the way since I was a child, my grandfather introduced me to Count Basie and Miles Davis, and he used to say, "Yo, you got to learn about Winston Marsalis." Back in the day. So he was always on me about that. I started learning when I was about 6 or 7 years old in the drum and bugle corps, and jazz was pretty much the basis of it. So, but as far as that, from jazz to hip hop to church music, both of my parents were in the ministry. Music was always around and prevalent in my life for sure.
Did you listen to hip hop? Did you listen to other forms of music and just say, "Hey, this is my thing"? But were you an avid listener? We're celebrating 50 years of hip hop.
Oh,
Right now.
absolutely, absolutely. Listening to LL and Kumo D and Run DMC and the Fat Boys, all the way to Jay-Z and everybody else. Hip hop is definitely a part of the culture. So, that was the music that's on the radio, on the stations everywhere. Jazz was just something that I fell in love with. That was my secret place when everybody else was, totally caught up in, what was going on in the mainstream. And I love that too. I love to get down. I don't really discriminate with the music. To me, it ain't number 12 notes anyway. And the beat is the only thing that changes those. So I participate in it all because I like to feel. And music is one of those artistic vices that allows people to just feel.
And Keyon, I know some information about you, but rather than just read your bio, I thought I'd have you share with us some information about you. Let's start off with where you're from. Where do you hail from?
I hail from St. Louis, Missouri, more specifically Ferguson, which is, kind of infamous now from the tragedy that happened with Mike Brown, which changed this nation a lot. But I'm from there. It's a beautiful place. Went to the same high school as the great Michael McDonald. We're both on the Wall of Fame together. I'm from St. Louis. Yeah, the same waters and same Mississippi River as Miles Davis. So, that's very, very, very close.
I do want to ask you about this. Did what happened in Ferguson change you? Did it change your music? Did it change your perspective? Did you feel, hey, this I have to express myself musically through the tragedies that have happened? How did that impact you?
Oh, absolutely. For me, what happened in St. Louis was, it was like the tip of the iceberg of what had always been happening and what's been happening in this country forever. For as long as we know. It's unfortunate, but to that point, as an artist, I use situations like that as fuel versus it being, my detriment. I use it as a way to bring people together. So much so that I wrote a song called MV Lament, a tribute to Mike Brown. So MV standing for Mike Brown. When will it stop? When will the violence stop? When will senseless killings of people who look like me, young black men, go, when will it be abolished? When will that be done? So I wrote that, and I'm always writing about what's going on in our world, what's going on in our lives,
Again, my guest is Mike Brown, trumpeter, composer, creative advisor for Jazz St. Louis. I'm going to keep you there for a minute because I'd like to talk about your creative process and obviously things that impact this country, things that impact us as people. How does that influence the music then you write? Is it something that you can't escape? Is it something that you say, hey, wait a minute, this is what I'm feeling, I have to express myself, and I'm going to choose to do it musically?
For me, it is about, wearing what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling on my sleeve, my proverbial sleeve. I got to get it out there because I realize that I have a platform and, sometimes my platform can be used for the people who can't be heard all the time. I'm the person who has to point out, injustice. I'm the person who doesn't mind standing up for what's right. And, speaking out against what's unjust. So I don't really mind that in my music. Some people, it's not their cup of tea and they just go with the status quo. But I feel like I have a bigger mission than, just playing the trumpet. It's about bringing people together and spreading awareness to the things that need to change and the things that are also beautiful equally.
Yeah. I just had to dig into that a little bit with you, and I'm thank you for indulging that as part of this conversation. Let's talk about music. Where do you get your creative inspiration from, Keyon?
I get my creative inspiration from all forms of of things, whether that be food, whether that be watching my son grow up, whether that be, just walking outside, going to the beach and listening to the waves, or unfortunately, seeing violence or seeing, the beauty that this, that God has left us with. It's all, it's in relationships, everything. I'm using all of it as fuel to create something beautiful. Or it might not even be beautiful, to create something that says hello.
And musically, are you from a musical family? We'll start with that. Ultimately, I'm going to get to why the trumpet, and you have a great voice, by the way, too. But
Oh man, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am from a musical family. I'm from a big family, 17 of us. And everybody, did some form of music, not necessarily professional, but the family reunions were, an amazing time, an incredible jam session. All of my brothers played musical instruments. All of my sisters sang. My mother sang. My dad taught me how to play the horn. So it was always music happening, and always inspired, by my elder brothers. In the family, I'm just one of them, you know.
And you mentioned your father introduced you to the horn. Did you take to the horn right away? Was it something magical about the horn, or with so many different facets of your family involved in music? Did you experiment before you decided on the horn?
Um, what happened was I always wanted to be like my eldest brother, because he was kind of like a prodigy. When he was 6 years old, he could play like a triple high C, and I
Wow.
wanted to be like him. But I was too little. And when I started learning how to play, it was all right. I was okay. Then I quit for a while, and I started, I wanted to play baseball. I wanted to do stuff like kids did. Then I started playing the violin. Then switched to viola. Then the trumpet
Wow.
came back to me. And from that point on, it was on and popping.
Who are some of the outside of your family? Who are some of your early influences that you said, "Hey, I'm really digging this flow, this style"? Who are some of those guys? Or
Oh, so many, so many. From it started off with people like uh, Maynard Ferguson,
mm,
to Booker Little, to Clifford Brown, to Freddie Hubbard, to Miles Davis, Wynton Marsalis, Roy Hargrove.
wow,
Um, you know, uh, who else? Woody Shaw, Booker. I said Booker Little, but Kenny Dorham, um, Fats Navarro,
mhm,
Dizzy Gillespie, Louis Armstrong. To Thelonious Monk and John Coltrane and Kenny Garrett.
wow,
There's so many amazing people. Duke Ellington, obviously, Count Basie.
wow.
You
You
know,
obviously you
uh,
have a deep knowledge of the history of the music that you are now carrying the mantle for. What about in hip hop? Who are some of the folks in hip hop that you admired, looked up to, respected the craft that they participated in?
oh man, I have to go to my man Common, first and foremost,
Mm,
because before him, I thought I was gonna just be following line with the great quintets of Wynn Marsalis's band and Nicholas Payton, Roy Hargrove. I wanted to be just like them when I first moved to New York in '99. But my first professional gig touring situation was with the rapper Common.
mm,
And that changed my whole perspective on, I wouldn't just be playing jazz professionally. I'd be doing quote unquote music professionally and working with the greats. So I'll say Common is one, Mos Def, Talib Kweli, Jay Dilla, who else? Busta Rhymes. When I was, trying to, learn how to play giant steps like John Coltrane, I was also listening to the rhythms of people like Busta Rhymes, listening to the rhythms of Q-Tip, and listening to the music of Tribe Called Quest and Guru, and Donald Byrd and so many other people who really changed this music and influenced this music.
Wow, my guest again, Keyon Harrold. Keyon, I got to ask you this question. As a musician, what do you think about the future of AI, artificial intelligence, and the impact that it may or may not have on music? That's a big thing right now for folks. Do you want to weigh in on that at all? Do you have a thought about AI and music as a musician?
I mean, it's an interesting thing, just like everything that's automated. Sometimes it's great, but sometimes you really need the person to be there. We know what it's like when you get a voicemail or you get a message from, I don't know, you talk to a telemarketer or you call in and you just want to pay your bill, but you can't talk to anybody. It's different when you talk to somebody. You can resolve situations and you can feel at some point. The idea of emotions is the most human thing that we can share, that we can have. And if that's gone, then that's gone. If you just want a beat just to feel a beat, okay, whatever, AI can create that. But if you want to feel emotions and you want to feel somebody, it has to be a real person. It has to be the idea of somebody's blood, sweat, and tears to display, where they've come from and where they're going and what they aspire to be and what they love and who they are. And AI can't really show that. And AI can just only spit out, data. It can't show you, it can't give you visceral feelings.
Wow.
And I mean, something like a trumpet, which is what I play. I mean, you can, maybe you can find a synthesized sound and, put it, maybe make it sound like something, but it'll never be like what Miles left. It'll never be like, what Clifford Brown or what Louis Armstrong left. Because, that had to do with, the humidity in the room of the recording. It had to do with if the microphone was broke, all those little technical things like that. And AI, that's just something that's just, I don't know. You can't really make this kind of stuff up. You can't tell me what my journey is, even though somebody can write about it, but you can't viscerally feel what I've gone through. And as an artist, that's what we share.
Yeah. There's so many things that I want to talk to you about. And Keyon, I believe that we're going to do this again when you come to Seattle. And you'll be here at the radio station with us at the Columbia City Theater. And we'll be interviewing on the same stage that Jimi Hendrix played on, the same stage that Quincy Jones played on. And the building that we're in is iconic. It's 107 years old. Tell me about Jazz Street and you're in Jazz Street, St. Louis, or Jazz St. Louis, and then I want to talk about your albums. I definitely want to get to that, but I'm covering a few different areas here. Just again, kind of giving people a broad perspective of who you are as a person.
Jazz St. Louis is an organization in St. Louis, Missouri that I've pretty much grown up in. It changed. The name's changed. Used to be Jazz at the Bistro, but now it's Jazz St. Louis. I'm now the creative advisor there, where I get a chance to do some curations, a lot of educational program and community outreach, which is very important to me. Get a chance to put on some amazing shows. I bring in people like PJ Morton and Terrence Morton and Gretchen Parlato and Kenneth Whalum, a lot of different people I get a chance to share the stage with and introduce to people in St. Louis who wouldn't necessarily know about the talent that's happening right now, not just in jazz.
It appears we have.
Okay.
Okay, there you are. All right.
Okay. Yeah. It's a special role that I have that I cherish and share, and I look forward to continually, introducing the next generation to jazz and the importance of jazz and the importance of it as a cultural benefit to the world. So that's one thing.
Keyon, we're almost out of time, my man, and I hope we get to do this part 2 of the conversation again. You'll be here May 30th and May 31st at Jazz Alley, but you got a new album coming out, and I definitely wanted to at least, peep that and get kind of a sneak preview. Talk about the new album that's coming out.
Well, the new album is coming real soon. I can't tell you exactly when it's coming, but it's on the way. It's a very special project. It is an addendum to my last album, The Musician. That's my last album. It's still current. It's still got a vibe. So check it out if you haven't listened to that. That's The Musician. It features Pharoah Monch. It features Robert Glasper. It features Gary Clark Jr. and so many other amazing musicians. And it's great music, from the heart. And we'll be playing some of that. And we'll be when I come to Jazz Alley, we'll be playing some of the new music and people get a chance to experience that firsthand of what's going on. Yeah.
Man, we're almost out of time, bro. Look forward to you being here May 30th and May 31st in Seattle. I'm hoping that we get to do a part 2 to this conversation. There's so many things that I wanted to talk to you about, but I do want to give you an opportunity for final words here before we go. So whatever you want to say about whatever you want to discuss, whatever you talk about, to those who are listening in Seattle, excited to see you here performance and see we're getting some feedback on our chat lines. But let me turn it over to you for a second. What would you like to say to, in particular, our Seattle audience?
Seattle, people in the great Northwest. I can't wait to get there. It's been a while since I've been. But I plan on bringing an incredible band with me, Shedrick Mitchell on the keys, Dan Winchell on the bass, Charles Haynes on the drums, and on guitar, Andrew Renfro. Some super highly acclaimed musicians. We're going to be, taking your feelings and taking your heart some different places. So you don't really want to miss that. It's going to be a visceral experience, and we're going to leave it all on the stage. It's going to be fun. So come out, bring your friends. If you can't make it, send somebody, and just know that it'll be memorable and it will be a vibe. It will be sexy. It will be, everything. It'll be what it's supposed to be. And I look forward to come connecting with each person.
I'm gonna give a shout out to Tish, who says I'm there on the channel.
Okay, Tish, I'll see you there.
May 30th, Tuesday, May 31st, Wednesday, Keyon Harrold live at Jazz Alley. We're going to see if we can get a part 2 to this conversation. And while you're here, and bring you to the historic Columbia City Theater and get more in depth with this interview. Keyon, thank you for taking the time to let me and let our audience just get to know you a little bit, and I really appreciate that, man. Thank you for being here.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
That's it. That's about all the time I have. That's going to do it for the kid. It's me, Tony B, your host of Street Beat. One more again, Keyon will be with us May 30th and May 31st. We're going to try and get him back in here in the studio while he's in the city. And we'll share some information about making that happen with you. That's all the time that I have. Remember, whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, you are probably right. Clean Greens Living coming up next.